Hi everyone. Here's a quick activity with a microbit where we're going to make it choose a random activity for a body break. So if we come to the MakeCode microbit website, I'm just going to start a new project. I'll call it body break and click create. So kind of like when we did the virtual die, we're going to first create a variable, and that variable is going to be chosen randomly when we shake the microbit. And then depending on what we choose as in terms of activities, that's what we're going to have to do if it comes to body break time. So if we go to the variables category, and we're going to make a new variable, and that's going to be called activity. Now we have some blocks with the variables, but first what we're going to do is we're not going to use the forever or on start blocks here. Our input is going to be on shake. So if we drag that in, and what we're going to do now is we're going to set the activity to a random number. So depending on how many activities you want to do in here, that'll depend on how many random numbers you choose. And remembering from last activity, to have the variable choose a random number, we have to go into the math. And if you scroll down a little bit, it'll say pick random. So we drag that bubble into where 0 is and replace it. So we're not going to set it to a variable. We're going to set it to a number between 1 and I'll just choose 3 for this short video. And now what we're going to do is, depending on what that variable number is, will depend on what we would like to have display on the microbit. So we're going to grab under logic the if then else block and drag that in right under the activity. So if the variable is, let's say, 1. So now we're going to go back into our math, our logic category, sorry, and we're going to choose the equals, and we're going to drag that into where it says true. So if our variable activity, so under variables, choose activity. So if our variable is equal to 1, let's give our first body break activity jumping jacks. So we'll go under basic, and what we're going to do is we're just going to have a scroll or a short message show up to tell the people, or to tell the student or whoever is using the microbit what the activity is. So a string is a word or a sentence that will scroll through like a scrolling marquee. And if we want to bring that into this activity right here, so if our first activity is called jumping jacks, let's just put J jumping jacks. So I'm going to hit enter, and I'm just going to test this out just to see if it does. There we go. So that chose randomly first, and you can see jumping jacks scroll through. Now it is kind of a long, couple of words or a message to be going through there. So you can set that to be, instead of jumping jacks, the 2 words, you can put jumping jacks, JJ. So that'll be up to you depending on what you want to show up. So then we're going to add another activity here. And because there's more than 2, I'm going to add one more condition right here. And a shortcut to using the same code or similar from the above statement, we're going to just right-click in the green area there. We're going to click duplicate. And we're going to drag that into the second condition. But instead of 1, we're going to make it the second activity. And then similarly for the string, we can right-click and duplicate and bring it into where it says 2. And this one, we can say push-ups. Let's do push-ups. Push-ups. We have jumping jacks, we have push-ups, and let's do last condition. So now if it's 1, 2, or 3, if we have 3 activities, if it's not 1, if it's not 2, then it has to be 3. So our third activity is, let's call it, let's do burpees even. So let's throw that last string in there, and we'll put the word burpees. Now we can actually test out our program and see what happens here. So if I simulate the shake, okay, so that's 3, that's burpees. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what it looks like on an actual microbit, and I'm just going to plug this in really quickly. And if I were to connect the microbits to the program, if I downloaded it onto the microbit, it should work. If I'm connected, yep, connected to microbit. Connecting and downloaded. So now I don't have a battery pack again. I gotta start putting that on. So if I simulate that, so it's jumping jack is the first one. So I can keep shaking. You notice that the screen's actually staying on. So if I actually had this not plugged into my computer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple things at the bottom here. I want it to pause. Let's just say I want it to pause right after it says that's the message. I'm going to pause it just for a second. And milliseconds, so I'll put it for, let's say here, 2 seconds. So I'm going to have the screen pause. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to clear the screen. So what happens is if you have the battery pack connected and you don't want the screen to be always on, you can do that little pause and clear screen so that the battery gets preserved. So I will download that again, see what happens. Because otherwise, see, it's just scrolling through over and over again. So that's been downloaded. Let's give it a shake. And burpees. A little bit slower. And it shuts off. And that's what we want to do if we want to preserve battery. So anyways, you don't need a physical microbit in order to do this activity. You can always just maximize the screen of your microbit from MakeCode and do a digital body break using your computers. Or you can bug your teachers and you can sign these out from the IRC. So hope this helps, and happy coding with the 12 blocks of Christmas.